Hello, all, and welcome to this evening's Scotch Whiskey review. Just doing my little bit of my mildly review bra ish sort of uh, imitation there. I actually really like his channel, and in fact, he, you know, when I was starting out, he was a little bit of an inspiration to me. Uh, not that I'm gained the popularity he has. But anyways, what is it that we were reviewing? Well, as my father can no longer drink alcohol, he's been slowly offloading his liquor collection onto me. And this one here is Jura single malt Scotch whiskey, aged 18 years. And I've never had this particular Scotch before. I've done a little bit of tasting beforehand, as is what I usually do when I have enough to go and do a little pre-taste before I do the recorded tasting. But I have never had it before, and it was, yeah, it's very rare that I get to go and drink a Scotch whiskey, period, nowadays, much less a Scotch whiskey with this sort of age statement to it. So, yeah, let's just go and read the label and I'll talk a little bit more about it. Rich and full-bodied with a quality red wine finish and refined smoky notes. Matured in American white oak ex-bourbon barrels and enriched by the finest red wine casks. 44% alcohol by volume. And let's read the back now, which I'm going to need this for because it's tiny and my eyes are failing me. Rich and full-bodied, with a quality red wine finish and refined smoky notes, this elegant malt is rosewood gold in color, with warm aromas of toffee, tropical fruits, and cinnamon, followed by rich black forest fruit, bitter chocolate, and espresso coffee on the aftertaste. Product of Jura Distillery, Isle of Jura. Now, Jura is actually kind of interesting. Um, I didn't realize it was the island that George Orwell, otherwise known as Eric Blair, the writer of Animal Farm in 1984, spent his last years at. He was dying of tuberculosis, and yet for some reason he was also a chain smoker of unfiltered cigarettes. But who am I to go and criticize somebody doing that? Uh, let's just say let's just say I understand that feeling of having health problems yet still being beholden to certain things. Anyways, it's a very it's a large island, but it is very lightly populated. During its peak in the 1800s, it only had like 1,500 people, and currently the population is under 300. And so there's one small town, some farms, and right outside the small town is the Scotch distillery, which I would guess is the main employer um, for the island. It seems like there's a hotel, a pub, a restaurant, and like a couple of arts and crafts stores for tourists. So it basically, the island is basically tourism and whiskey based tourism, I guess. Uh, so yeah, interesting to say the least. I almost feel a little bit literary drinking this. I have my water available, so no rushing to the sink. Without much further ado, let's just go and pour this out into the Glencairn glass. So Isle of Jura is nearby Isla, the most famous island for scotches. Just a wee dram, yeah? A wee dram. Maybe a little bit more. So yeah, 18 years. No, I didn't buy this, but I looked at the prices in between about $90 to $100 on most online listings, which probably means 110 to 120 here in Hawaii. Okay, I'm going to try to, how can I do this? Get it into the light a little bit. I have it angled because it was getting too bright on my face. I also want you to see the coloration here. Like I said, rosewood. Yeah, it is sort of a orange, pinkish. It's an orangey color, orange amber color with sort of pinkish highlights to it, interestingly enough. Any thick legging there? Yeah. So sort of stewed fruits, cinnamon, coffee, honestly. Some floral notes as well, kind of above that sort of stewed fruit, cinnamon. Almost like a maple-like note. Fruit stewed in maple syrup with cinnamon. Actually, that sounds really good. Yeah, kind of, kind of a warm and spicy smell to it. I should just say more, yeah, cinnamon, but there's also the other baking spices there as well. Yeah. Okay. Let's get that palate nice and fresh. Yeah, I am definitely out of practice drinking hard alcohol. That's for sure. Yeah, there's a in the finish. There's a really cinnamon spiciness there, and a lasting char in the long finish from the peat. Not very smoky, honestly. It's more of a char, different from like a bourbon barrel char, but you know, upfront toffee, toffee, kind of turns into almost like an earthy, peaty note in the mids on the palate. And around that is a red berry note, raspberries, cherries, um, mixed with bittersweet chocolate. A lot happens in those mids there. Interestingly, it's kind of thin. The sensation, the texture is rather thin on the palate for a Scotch, yet the flavor is very rich, almost decadent at points, but not sweet. It's just with the chocolate, those berries, maple, it kind of comes across as rich tasting. I like how those berries sort of transition into cinnamon spiciness in the finish, which also kind of combines with the alcohol heat as well. Yeah. I've forgotten how much I enjoy a good Scotch. Basically, Scotch is my favorite type of whiskey. Um, Being that I am a poor man, I do not get to drink it often. But when I do get to drink it, I savor it. So yeah, I think this pretty much counts as a Highlands and Islands region Scotch. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hmm. Yeah, this one has some really nice complexity to it. It doesn't drink too easy. There's a bit of a burn towards the end there from the alcohol, which combined with the sort of cinnamon note is um, means that this probably shouldn't be one's introduction, but yeah, this is hmm, a very good single malt Scotch, I must say. Oh yeah, this one would go well after dessert. Not during dessert, but after dessert. Hmm. Yeah, so I figure I got about maybe 2 to 3 more drinks out of this. I am going to savor it. That is for sure. This is some this is some good stuff. This is some definitely good stuff. Yeah, So if you're a wealthy man who can afford to drink Scotch whiskies, give this one a shot. If if you're one of the people who sort of likes either the lighter statements, you might find this a little bit too heavy, too rich. Or if you're a person who likes Isla single malts, you'll probably find this a bit too sweet, not peaty enough. Though honestly, I think the peat kind of sneaks up on you here. It doesn't come in as smoke, but kind of char and smoked wood, I guess. Yeah, yeah. If Scotch is your thing, definitely give this a shot. I mean, I'm not super experienced in it, but from what I've had, this is definitely pretty darn good. Wow. Anyways, Jura single malt Scotch, age 18 years. And that, folks, is your Scotch review for this evening. Back to the beer reviews for the foreseeable future. Cheers.